Hey guys, Angry Old Man here. Well, we're back. Um, Unfortunately, I do not have very many pictures, photographs, and I'm trying to get some, but there just was not the opportunity to get very much on this trip. Um, we got a few, but nothing spectacular. They'll be on my social media, and you can check them out on Facebook. Speaking of Facebook, if you have been following my Facebook, the Angry Old Man Running, you'll have seen like some of the videos I took while we were out talking about the expo, getting into the hotel, the boom town, and I'm not going to really repeat stuff from those. If you're interested, go to Facebook, and those are public videos, so you can watch them without even really. You can just access them, I think, just by looking at my page. Um, the first thing I want to talk about is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. I did not qualify for Boston. I missed my goal again, even though I PR'd my marathon time by a small margin. I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised. Running is marathon running, racing is a return on investment pastime. You get back what you put in, and I did not, for a variety of reasons, get the upper end of my training completed. When I talk about the upper end, I'm talking about my upper speed. I've lost a little bit of that top speed, and I just have not worked it enough. The high gear, the fast twitch muscles, they just did not get enough conditioning, and that's really at the end of the day what let me down. It's it's the it's nobody's fault but mine. I mean, I can tell you it was the weather, the bad weather, and it was, but where there's a will, there's a way, and sometimes when you're adulting out here, you just make decisions and you run with them, and some things sometimes just have to take a back seat, and that happened a few times. I would try to go out and do speed work on basically a glacier with a pair of ice shoes on. It doesn't work like that. I trained a way that I thought that would let me survive the marathon and at least not lose ground, and that's what happened. I did better than I've done before, not by a great margin, but I didn't, what's the word, bonk? I didn't hit the wall. I was doing quite well. It was just pure muscle fatigue that slowed me down. My muscles got fatigued. I could not make my legs move any faster than they were going. I had plenty of nutrition. My heart rate was more or less in zone. It's just one of the things. On the upside, I have learned a lot about nutrition. My nutrition this cycle was on point from working through the program right before the race, like the few days leading up to the race itself, during the race, and even after the race. Everything was just spot on. I could not conceivably do a better job, I don't think. Somebody might say, well, you could always eat a little bit better. Yeah, I'm not a professional, and there's things I'm not going to give up just because I want to shave a few seconds off my time. I'll go ahead and keep my pizza Fridays, thank you. Anyway, that being said, we are looking at Marshall as my next attempt. Again, because I really like the Marshall and it's fairly convenient. And if I can bring my conditioning that I brought to it last year in November, and I can bring my nutrition plan back around again, I might have a winning combo there, guys. I'm hoping I do. Next, I'd like to talk about the good of this race. This is by far the best organized, most well-supported event. I can't say enough good about that. From pre-race to the race event to the post-race, it was just a class act all the way. The volunteers were all helpful. There was plenty of volunteers. If you needed something and you couldn't get what you were looking for, it's your fault. I promise you. It is not the race directors or the race volunteers' fault at all. This was 100% in your lap, because they were just out there in force with nothing but the racers on their mind. The area is a booming area. I could go on and on about that. There's another video I put up on my Facebook page where I talked about it being a boom town. And yeah, I mean, wow. But accommodations are plentiful. The range of accommodation is varied. I mean, if you are on a super tight budget, there was a place for you. If you are, looking to marry into a royal family, there are accommodations for you, and everything in between. The food in the area is, I mean, if you can't find something to eat in this town and, afford it, again, it's your fault. The swag bags themselves had, all kinds of food coupons in them. You could conceivably have lived off of some of the race swag that you get original, when you pick up your bib. There were, Chick-fil-A vouchers, gift certificate things. There were coupons that basically make a sandwich like $2, a $5 sandwich, $2 or something like that. I kind of had a plan already in place, so I didn't delve into it. And since we're not local, most of those coupons really didn't do me any good, but they could have. This is just a great race. For one thing, it is very flat. There is, of course, some what you would consider rolling hills, minor elevation, minor declines, but moreover, it's flat. How do I know that without looking at all the technical specs? My quads are killing me. I run a lot on like the more uphill type inclines, and I've got calves that I can crush walnuts between, and they're not bothering me. What's bothering me are my quads. And that tells me I've been running a lot of downhill, or I've been doing a lot of just plain old no frills flat running. So it's a flat course. It's a fairly fast course. So if you are going for, say, a BQ, a Boston qualifying time, and you just can't quite shave that maybe 1, 2, 3 minutes off, no matter what you do, this might be your race. I'm telling you. Honestly, going into this race, I thought I was going to do a lot worse than I did. I was very concerned about it. I had thought long and hard about it, where I had fallen short on my training. But the course itself is not bad. It's just a flat course. The race is well supported. When you take off, you're not even really out of the park grounds when you're already hitting your first water stop. Um, I was reaching for my first gel pack about the same time we ran across the gel packs, like when they were handing out gel packs for free. They were giving out Humas, which I use, and they had my favorite flavor. So I grabbed one and used it instead of my own stash. Um, every 2 miles there was water and Gatorade, and that's not even counting the spectators that had brought bottled water, bottled Gatorade, things like that, and we're just handing them out to people. This was a class act event. The people wanted us there. This wasn't something that they grudged having run through their town. They were excited to have us. They were cheering us on. They were out there. There was an Elvis impersonator. There was people dressed up in dinosaur costumes. The police reserves, sheriffs. I mean, there was just everybody was out there just to support the racers. Class act, Newport News, class act. I strongly recommend this race to anybody who wants to PR their marathon, or they want to just go to a really great event. There was pre-race events, post-race events. I mean, you could have arrived Friday morning and been entertained, well-nourished, right up until, like, I mean, I think tonight one of the hosts, it was either last night or tonight, there's like the last big hurrah for this. Just amazing. Amazing. The not so good, it's not anything anybody can really do anything about. It was unseasonably warm. 2 days before, a day even before we left for the marathon, it was 19 degrees out. I've been training in between indoors, outdoors. I mean, I've been running around with icicles hanging out of my beard, and then to show up to the race, and starting in the morning, it was 64 degrees, I think, when we launched, and it just got warmer through the day. That was that could suck the life out of you. There were several runners that just could not hang. It was bad for some of them. I was last year, or the year before, the local race, the Prickett's Fort Run to Read half marathon, saw a similar event where we had unseasonably hot temperatures, like 76 degrees in January, and it was like watching a duck shoot. I mean, there was just, people were just dropping left, right, and center. It's just, that's the nature of the beast. Another thing was the wind. Whew, whew. The wind was right in your face. From every step of the way, that wind was in your face. I thought and hoped that the residential areas would shield us a little bit. That was not the case. And when we made the turn up Museum Way, it was like standing in a wind tunnel at one point. I actually got wind burnt on my face. I thought it was a sunburn at first, but it was wind burn. And I haven't had chapped lips in 20 years, maybe. I don't know. It's been a long time. And I had chapped lips and wind burnt face. And that has not happened in a long, long time. Even working on the farm in extreme conditions that I do. The humidity was very high. You could just feel the air around you. It had some effect. I'm not sure I would go and point at that as aha, this must be why I failed, or didn't make my goal, but that's not the case. That's not the case at all. It's a small factor, but it is a factor, and it's something to be to pay attention to if you decide to come run this race. March, the beginning of March in Virginia, you could have ice and a foot of snow. You could be sitting out in a bathing suit getting a suntan. You can fly a kite. You can be hoping your John boat is still functional because the floodwaters may be coming. So just think about that, is that this area, the peninsula area of Virginia, March is a dice roll, and you take what you get. Fortunately, it was not horrible in any direction, just mildly uncomfortable. And there was a few people who, it was just a little bit too much for them. So that's something to keep in mind. I don't have anything bad to say, and my gosh, that's amazing, because I'm one of the most difficult to please, hard to get along with people on the planet. The buses were, we showed up, we got in our parking space. There was a lady there that basically just at the expo who said, here's what you do. And she had like all the directions. We followed those directions she gave us, and bam, we were there. We were parked. We toddled over to the buses, and it was like getting passed from person to person. Are you a marathon runner? Yes, I am. You go with this person. You're going to this bus right here, and you're going to go on this bus, and then this bus driver, Miss Penny, is going to take you to the start line. And just like that. And if you had gear to check in, they were there. You can check your gear in here. You can put your things there. It was just so well organized, and they were ready for anything. I don't think anything surprised the volunteers and the staff. I honestly I struggle to find anything bad to say. There was ample accommodations in the area, ample food. But let's talk about the race itself. We started off in the Newport News City Park, a place I spent many years of my youth, and not a lot has changed. It's well paved. It is well maintained. There are park rangers that provide the law enforcement and sort of just general security for the area. You basically took off from there. The start line was set up in pace groups. I chose a pace group that was pretty much in between the 3:15 and the 3:30 group, hoping to hold with those guys, and just locked in with them. We took off and ran around the park and popped out on Fort Eustis Boulevard, ran almost all the way down to the base gates, turned around, ran back up the road, popped out, and then headed down over the Atkinson overpass, which was a pretty significant incline. It was like doing a good hill run, actually. You ran the overpass over the I want to say it was over the interstate, and then you popped back down onto Warwick Boulevard. You ran down that a bit. Again, main city street, so no big issue. We cut onto some residential stuff, weaved in and out of some residential stuff. Eventually worked our way all the way down to the half marathon point at Menchville High School. Again, well paved. Turned up from there. It got a little sticky on Boxley, which was no surprise to us. I actually lived right on the half marathon start line, So um, Boxley took a little wind out of my sails. I rallied a bit and pushed on down um, Warwick Boulevard there. Eventually, you come across, you do some more residential stuff, and then you eventually come to the Avenue of the Arts, which is like the Christopher Newport University campus. You run down through the campus. You eventually cross over and pop out over at the Mariners Museum, and you run around Museum Way, go across the Lions Bridge, pop back out, and you're heading down the street again, the main drag there. Your goal is ultimately the shipyard, and you just keep moving down that road. You go through part of Newport News that's it's a place you typically, at least in my experience, you didn't go after dark unless you had to. But with so much law enforcement presence there, you didn't feel bad during the marathon. Eventually, you made yourself way into the old town, the Hilton Village, worked your way through that. You popped out on Huntington eventually, which is the last big stretch towards the end. You work your way down through there, and eventually you either run out of road, you run on the interstate, or you cross the finish line were your options. So that's the race in a nutshell. It's a point A to point B, no turns. As far as like turnarounds, there are obviously some turns that were all well marked. If you missed a turn, I know I'm probably going to kick myself for saying this, but you're a special kind of stupid. I mean, it was literally orange cones everywhere with people on every corner, anywhere somebody could possibly, in their wildest dreams, drift off course. There was a green shirt or a purple shirted volunteer. I forget what color it was. I'm pretty sure it was green shirts. And they were there to, that's this way, you go that way, turn this way, turn that way. And besides that, they were, shoving water and Gatorade and Huma gels into your hands as you went by, cheering you on the whole way. The residents were sitting out on their stoops and in their driveways. They were handing things out and cheering you on. This is just an awesome race. I felt so good. I never did so not so great and felt so good about it at the end. The local running group, the Run Junkies, they were awesome. Oh man, they were just so kind. They were so welcoming. They invited us to their shakeout run. We went to the shakeout run. It was just a little 2-miler, and had a great time meeting those folks. I think I've made some new friends. Was really excited to see them. I can't wait to maybe sometime in the near future, maybe run into them at some other event. This is a very runner-friendly area. Lots of places for people to run. Lots of so this was a good deal. Strongly recommend it in the future for anybody who is interested. What am I going to do now? Yeah, the way forward, I like to call it. Let me switch my hands here, guys. I'm still sore. Well, in May, I'm doing the Rim to Rim 10K. I think it's a 10K. It might be a little more than a 10K. I'm not sure. I don't care. My short game is in the toilet right now. It's just horrible. And I need to beef that up, and I need to get my my speed back up to where it was and beyond. I'm not going to do what I need to do until I can actually get close to breaking a 6-minute mile. And a news flash, it doesn't get easier as you get older. So that's what I'm going to be working on. I'm going to be spending an inordinate amount of time working the hills. I'm going to be spending a lot of time running in circles on hilly courses like Morris Park. The college, the Fairmont State University College campus, it has a very significant uphill, and I'll be working that. I will be running at the Bridge Sport Complex. Their outdoor track is pretty significant incline, about 100 feet for every 3/4 miles you run. Uphill is uphill. So yeah, maybe sticking my toe in on Whetstone Road once things get cleaned up and I'm not so concerned about ice and the bad weather. There's not a lot of places for you to bail if a truck is not paying attention to where they're going, but I want to run the Whetstone Hill a few times. And prepping for run rim to rim, I'm looking at Mount Summit. If anybody's ever heard of Mount Summit, it's 3.5 miles, and it is 1 foot in front of the other uphill. It will choke out the biggest and toughest of you. That's going to be my practice run for rim to rim if it's still on this year. But that's what I'm going to be doing. So my video colors will morph over to orange again, and I'll be training for rim to rim. After that, it'll be jumping back into a marathon program most likely, and I'll be looking at Marshall University Marathon. And that's my way forward. My nutrition, I've got it down. I know my upper end conditioning was it was a C rating at best, and it needed some work. I didn't make the time to do that, and that's on me. Weather was a factor, but ultimately it was me. So, that being said, thank you guys for all your support. I will never surrender. I don't even know this surrender guy. I won't quit, and I'm going to keep pumping until I get my BQ. I might age into a BQ, but I'm going to get it. So, thanks a lot again, guys. Appreciate all your support. Thank you to the Run Junkies who were welcoming to us. Thank you to all the guys around here who were the Bridgeport Road Warriors, who've been very kind and supportive. I really appreciate all of you. I wish you all the best in your endeavors, and tomorrow is another day. And it's always another day where you can run angry, my friends.